Quiet down, set. Go ahead.
And welcome to Sports Guys. For the week of January 12th, we found out last night who the Lions will play this coming Saturday at 8 o'clock on, I believe, Channel 9, is it? On Fox?
Right.
They will play the Washington Commanders, and they open 9-point favorites. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's start with our trivia question, by the way. Rod Calgren, Chuck Hiller, Steve Bainey. I'm Christian
day.
Gibbons. Obviously, I am not Brian Rogers. He is, as they say, on assignment.
You can tell by the beard.
Yes. But we are very excited to be here as the Lions continue to make the playoff push. So we'll start with a Lions trivia question provided by Brian Rogers.
Nice.
In what year and by what NFL team was Jared Goff drafted?
Whoa.
Think about that. We'll get back to that at the end of the show. But I want to begin with some very exciting news here in Detroit. All of our teams seem to be on pretty good soil right now. You got the Wings, 7-game win streak.
7 games.
Pistons are starting to win again. They've already
6 out of 7.
They've surpassed their win total from last year, which was 13 a few games ago. The Lions, I can't believe it, for the first time in my lifetime, and most of our lifetimes, are people think they're going to make the Super Bowl. People think they're going to win the Super Bowl, which is incredible. But I want to start with the Wings because it has been nearly 13 years since the Wings have been on a 7-game winning streak. It was the 2011-2012 season.
They like that new coach.
Yes,
There
they
you
do.
go.
And-
Obviously,
and,
something's
and,
going
and
right
he
now.
said his first practice, play blanking hockey, and that's what they're doing here. Yesterday on Sunday, they played the Seattle Kraken, and they got out to a 4-0 lead with 7:53 in the first period.
They poured it on
Casper,
early.
Comfort, DeBrincat, and Kane scored, and then Gustafson and the captain Larkin added goals in the second period. So the final there was 6-2. But these Wings, man, they're playing hockey again, and it's actually fun to watch. Thoughts?
I think the Wings got a new coach and he's working out well. Like I say, a lot of times there's such a thing as overcoaching. You know, it's like these guys
Maybe-
are pros. It's like let them
maybe
get
that
out
wa-
there and
maybe
play.
that was
You know,
it.
they've
I
been
just
playing
can't
all their
believe it,
lives,
that's
so
all.
Right.
let them go.
I've been playing this game since you were 6 years old.
Right.
You know how to play. You don't need a lot of coaching.
Yeah,
You just need some.
obviously, the players know how to play hockey, and they were selected for good reason.
Yeah,
And it's just now that they know how to play together,
right.
and as you say, play hockey.
Yeah, because the thing with the coach, especially in hockey, it's like to get those lines together is what you need. Like say, who plays well with who,
Yes.
kind of
You
thing. Once
found
you
it.
get the
You
3
found
lines
it.
together, it's like now everybody's working out well.
Well, that line with Kane and DeBrincat is working just as well as it did when they played in Chicago.
Yeah, isn't
and
it
that's
something?
and that's what you like to see is that's why they brought Patrick Kane in.
Right.
Not only because he's a future Hall of Famer, obviously, but because him and DeBrincat have had that long track record of playing well together, and it's finally paying off. So Steve Yzerman knows what he's doing. I mean, he did this in Tampa too. So he just I think made a bad decision hiring the last coach. But you know.
You know, like I say, back when they hired the last coach, there wasn't much expectations
No,
either.
yeah. So we move on to the Lions, and
There you go.
the Lions will play the Commanders on Saturday at 8 p.m. after Washington's kicker doinked the field goal to take them into the
Oh,
divisional
wow,
round.
yeah.
If you stayed up for that game on Sunday night,
That was
a classic.
thrilling
that was
end.
Yeah.
the second half of
And
that game. You didn't know who was going to win until the last few
Definitely.
minutes, and then 2 seconds. They ran that clock down to 2 seconds.
I thought.
Yep.
And I saw that ball go into the upright, and I'm like, we're going to
Oh.
overtime, and I'm not going to be up to shoot the show in the morning. But they got it done, so the Commanders will come to Ford Field here in Detroit on Saturday at 8 p.m.
There you go.
We're looking forward to getting David Montgomery back. Coach Campbell said he will be back for that game. And some people are saying around Allen Park, Hutch, if we make the Super Bowl, there's a possibility. I heard that on a news station this morning. I won't give the name because I don't want them to get yelled at when it's not true. But I heard on the news this morning that they like Hutch's chances for returning for the Super Bowl. I don't think that's a great idea.
No.
I'd rather him heal up
Next year.
so we can continue this run and keep him healthy. Not only for the team's sake, but for his sake. We don't need re-injuries. I don't want him on the IR for the rest of his career for half a season.
Right.
So, but that is, will we have David Montgomery back? So we're looking for Anzalone, I think, is back now too.
Yeah, he was back.
So hopefully the defense can solidify under that because the Commanders' quarterback was scary last night. I saw
He looked pretty good.
He looked pretty good, and with the depleted defense that the Lions have, it scared me a little bit watching that. But I think we can get that game. We open as 9.5-point favorites if you're into betting. ESPN Bet has us at 9.5 as of Monday at 8:28 a.m. So thoughts on the matchup with the Commanders? Any first initial thoughts?
You know, when Tampa Bay scored near the end, I thought they're scoring too early. They need to run the clock down. I thought they're leaving Washington too much time, and and all it's going to take is a good kick. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened.
Well, that fumble late from Tampa Bay kind of.
Yeah, that didn't help either.
That was like, wow.
yeah.
And like I say, I mean, he fumbled it all by himself. I mean, there was no defensive
It was
battle. Just couldn't hang on to the ball. Got slippery or something.
It was amazing for a quarterback as good as he is to
Baker
be
Mayfield was good. Yeah.
bouncing that thing around. And, yeah. But when when the ball hit the upright and we're all holding our breath, which way is it going?
You know, for sure.
And
because that was one of the Lions' losses with Tampa Bay. So it's like, I don't know that I want to see Tampa Bay again.
Well, and there's a chance we might play Minnesota again, which doesn't thrill me either. So let's run through the scores over the weekend real quick. On Saturday, the Chargers lost to Houston 32-12.
Yeah, it was pretty.
C.J. Stroud with 282 passing yards. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, that was a good game.
Yeah.
Baltimore beat the Steelers 28-14. Russell
300
Wilson
yards rushing.
with 270 in the passing game. Derrick Henry with 186. And Derrick Henry is just a beast.
He's a monster, yeah. Reminds me of Lynch.
Oh, he does. Remind me, Marshawn Lynch. That's a good one. Denver got crushed by Buffalo.
Buffalo's
what happened?
got
They
a good
scored
team.
right at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Buffalo 31, Denver 7. Josh Allen, who is in the running for the MVP, 272 passing yards. And Green Bay, man. Green Bay and Philly,
bad.
they kept shooting them. I watched the end of that game. The coach just didn't have them ready to play there in the second half. They were unprepared. They were making stupid mistakes. They were getting frustrated and letting that, I watched the last 10, 15 minutes of that game, and there were like 3 unnecessary roughness penalties at the end of that game. And it's like, I get it, you're losing, but you're a professional athlete. Don't be stupid. They lose to Philly 22-10. Jordan Love with 212 passing yards in the loss. And then, as we said, Washington beat Tampa Bay 23-20, and that was the best game
A good game.
of the weekend so far. But we're taping this on Monday at 8:30. Tonight, on January 13th, the Rams take on the Vikings. That's at 8 o'clock on ABC. And that is going to be a really, really good game. Of course,
I think so.
That's being played in Arizona because of the wildfire situation in California. They're unable to use SoFi Stadium, so they'll be playing at, what is it, State Farm Stadium now?
Right,
In Arizona.
Glendale,
Glendale.
Arizona.
What? Glendale, Arizona.
Yeah, in Glendale. Can't say Phoenix, it's Glendale. But that should be a good game as well. And of course, the winner of that game will play Philadelphia next week, and we're waiting for that matchup. So that is the picture in the NFL. Let's go to Steve. You've got some college football news?
There you go. We finished up the second round of the semifinals, so we got a championship game. Notre Dame finished up ahead of Penn State, 27-24, which made it exciting towards the end. But like I say, it really wasn't all that close a game. Notre Dame had it pretty well in hand until Penn State scored late. And then Ohio State put it to Texas, which really surprised me.
There's
I
the
thought
line.
Texas would put up a much better
I don't
battle.
know. Boy, they
Ohio
came-
State won 28-14, which set up the winning game, their championship game for Monday night, the 20th, at 7:30, and Ohio State versus Notre Dame, which should be pretty good. Should be pretty good.
I saw a lot of social media posts over the weekend about if you're a Michigan fan, who do you root for in this game?
Yeah,
Don't you just want both of them to lose? And I
there
said,
you go.
no,
Tie.
no, it's an easy one. Notre Dame. If you're a Michigan fan, don't you always want Ohio State to lose?
Oh, yeah.
I would think, but like I say, when it comes down to that, I mean, would you prefer the Big Ten win or Ohio State
Not
lose?
me. Of course, my father's.
Who is the favorite in that?
Ohio State.
I looked it up. Ohio State is the favorite. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, because Ohio State's been rolling, man. I don't know what Michigan did to them that set
They've
them on
got in
fire.
their head.
But like I say, the thing is, after they lost
I
that
thought
Michigan
Notre
game, they
Dame
took
was
off.
going to lose their
I did too.
game
Yeah.
initially, but
Yeah.
Ohio State is favored by 8.5
Whoa.
wow.
as of this morning.
you go.
Whoa.
Yeah, pretty big
So
spread.
and they are the higher seed too. So I guess technically that would be an upset. But yeah, Ohio State is on a roll. They're playing really, really good football. Notre Dame, though, I'm shocked that Marcus Freeman was able to turn that program around as fast as he did.
Oh, yeah, early on when they lost to Northern Illinois.
Yeah,
It's like, holy, I never heard of Northern Illinois.
but I think that's the same thing that happened with Ohio State losing to Michigan. I think that kind of
Yeah.
reset Notre Dame's clock
There you go.
and said, "Oh yeah, we actually have to play our game. We actually
Yeah,
have
we
to
don't
play
need to
football.
just show
we
up
can't
and it's going to happen.
because Northern Illinois. Let's be fair. Sorry if you went to Northern Illinois. They're a cupcake.
Right?
So it's time. It's time to reset and put our heads down and go. So I think that helped them. That loss helped
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, really set their minds and let's go win the game mode for sure.
Anything else on college football?
Yeah, I have the one thing. I've campaigned for 2 or 3 years about Notre Dame coming into the Big Ten. It's been my big thing. However, after I look at this all over, they'll never go into the Big Ten. Number one, they made $4 million qualifying for just the playoffs. They got another $4 million for the quarterfinals, $9 million for the semifinals, and another $9 million now for playing this week. Besides that, this was a shocker. They're on NBC, right?
Yeah,
$50 million contract per year.
right. Well,
Okay, so they're talking $70 million, their money.
Oh, right.
They don't split
Split
it
it
with
with
the
anybody else in the
NCAA
division.
and all the other teams.
conference, man.
Why in the world would you want to go to a conference at this point?
Well, like I say, but I mean, the
Particularly
big
like
boys
the
in the
Big
conferences, I
18.
mean,
Yeah, right.
yeah, I mean, the conference wins, like I say, I mean, the SEC, I mean, you got in the semifinals, you got 2 Big Ten teams.
Right.
It's like, who would have thought,
Right.
Like I say, when they finished up at the end of the season, we had, 6 Big Ten teams?
Yeah, it was crazy.
12 were playing in bowl games.
Yeah.
So, like I say, the thing, I mean, not only is the top dogs making money, but I mean, all 12 teams
Are getting
make
a
money
rake of
from
it.
these bowl games. So, like I say, the thing is, Notre Dame is making theirs, but these conferences are not far behind.
Yeah.
No,
No.
But
No,
the difference is all of those incentives that he listed off Ohio State's making that same amount of money. The problem is they have to split that money 18 ways.
Right, right.
So,
But like I say,
that's-
you got 18 teams making money.
right. But
We're worse than the SEC used to be.
Oh,
We
yeah.
are. and-
When Alabama was taking off everything.
and the Big Ten just signed their new media rights agreement with Fox and NBC and CBS a couple of years ago, and it's worth $1.5 billion maybe. So divide that 18 ways, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, and two, like I said, the thing, when you have a conference like the SEC or the Big Ten, I mean, they're knocking each other off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like say, I mean, you know, the number one team switched how many times before
Right.
Oregon took over, and then Oregon
And then
played,
Oregon went and
yeah.
lost. Yeah.
Oregon played Ohio State and won by 1 point in Oregon, and then they come into the playoff and they get thumped by Ohio
Yeah,
State. It's like,
yeah.
what happened to
I
Oregon?
really think Ohio State Michigan got into their head.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, that kind of cleared the brain. It's
Yeah.
like we gotta play.
How did we lose to that Michigan team?
Yeah, no doubt.
Anything else on college football?
I think that's just about covered.
Any motorsports news?
Yeah,
you
I've
got,
got
Chuck?
a couple of things. Honda and Nissan, have combined. They're
Oh,
one
okay.
now. And the question is, why? Nissan isn't that much. I had a Nissan, great engine, but I kept having troubles. My doors would fall off. A new car, and the doors would fall off.
That's not a good thing.
That's there's
Be like
structure
Fred,
in that
Fred
way there.
Flintstone going down the street.
Yeah, it stung a little bit. I got news for you. But Honda going with Nissan. But there's one thing. Remember, I mentioned a few weeks ago, they had this big, powerful engine in a small package. I think it was 41 pounds or something like that, with a dual turbo. And if they run the battery with it, I mean, they had 1,050 horsepower or something like that with 41 pounds.
Wow.
So, what is happening? Honda is coming back into Formula One.
Interesting.
So here's what they are. They've got the engine already.
Yeah.
Maybe they're 2 years ahead now on that. But otherwise, what in the world would you want to do with a Nissan? The Nissan cars, they don't sell that many. They have, they got the big car, but hardly anybody buys the things. They do have very small electric cars, and maybe Nissan will be the one that will help out in there. Honda's really working on it,
Sure.
but it's expensive. Or maybe Nissan can kick them into there. But that's a strange combination of Honda and Nissan.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what value is it? I mean, we've got everything else going for us.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was unique
There you go.
in there.
Cool.
Rod, I know we've got the Australian Open, like you said, kicked off
Well,
over the weekend.
Yeah, the first round started Sunday, their Sunday, our Saturday. It was reported to me that the temperature was 90 degrees in Melbourne,
Man.
and then a storm came through,
Oh,
which helped a little because it dropped the temperature, but it really followed up the playing because
Oh.
I think there's only 4 of their courts that are covered,
Right.
but there's not any really outstanding American men tennis players compared to what I would say is the 4 major players. Novak Djokovic, who is now allowed to play in Australia, Carlos Alvarez, the youngster from Spain,
Right.
who's really good, Jenna Sinner, the Italian, who's really coming on strong, and then Daniel Medvedev, who's the Russian, who's very good. But they're just into the first round, so there's a lot of tennis left to play. In the women, the major U.S. player, that's getting attention is Coco Gauff.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
remember, a few years ago, Coco was this little teenager
Right.
that suddenly amazed everybody by beating one of the Williams sisters.
Right.
And now she's a little older. I think she's probably 20.
Oh, she's really getting up
Growing
there.
up, you know.
Really.
But she's doing well, and she won her first round match, and so it'll be interesting to follow. And this is the first of the 4 majors that play in Australia strictly because of weather conditions.
Do they get the choice of what their tennis ball? Do they get the choice of what tennis balls to play?
No, I think
No, they're
the
all-
Tennis
They're all
Association.
they're
The
all
women-
been checked out ahead of time.
Yes, the women
and they're
have-
all exactly the same.
Yep,
then.
the
If
women
you
have a ball
notice
and the
that
men have a ball.
the
yeah.
tennis ball that they're using have the logo for the Australian Open, which is kind of a fake A-O, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, okay.
Australian Open.
Okay.
And,
But they're
and
all
they're
the same
marked
then.
They're
that.
all the
And
same.
of course, the players bat the balls into the audience all the time. They're souvenirs and
Oh, I didn't know.
But it's like baseballs. They're all exactly the same. They're all created in the same factory under the same. They get stored under the same humidity conditions, and it's all very scientific.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's why I always laugh. It's like then, because the ball boy will throw 'em 3 or 4 balls, and it's like, I don't like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
When you're a pro,
I-
you kind of know the.
I would guess. yeah,
Don't
there
you
must be
always
something
wonder? They always give them 3 balls
different. There you go.
because that's what's easy to hold in one
yeah,
hand.
yeah.
And they look at them, and then they bat 2 of them behind them to the ball boy or girl. And I always wonder, what are they looking for? I mean,
Right. Well, and I never understand the women, especially, and especially at Wimbledon when they're in their white skirts and they put them in their pocket. I'm like, when you go up to serve, doesn't that restrict your motion if your
well,
pants are a little tighter?
women, they have tight shorts.
Right, but
And
I
they
think,
stick them underneath
yeah,
the elastic.
Oh.
it always made me wonder, wouldn't that screw up
I
your?
would think that would
Yeah.
bother.
It would
them.
bother me, but
I think.
I'm
the-
also
we don't wear
I'm not
tights.
also in the WTA or
There
Yeah.
you go. There you
so.
The golf world is starting, but they've got an interesting situation developing with what they call the TGL,
I saw it.
the Golf League.
Oh, right.
And
Tiger Woods.
Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods and Ricky Fowler have, and maybe some others have kind of gotten together and they've looked at professional and college football, and they've looked at baseball, and they've looked at the kind of money that is being made by these sports going into all the tournaments. And they've decided that they need to do something about golf to do this. So they've developed a program where they have established, it's about 20 teams, and the teams are based on different country clubs across the country, and each team has 3 or 4 players, and they're going to play team matches, and the matches are going to be played on a virtual golf course.
This is the one that
And they've made a couple of these virtual golf courses. They're not all over the place by a long shot, but the driving is into a screen that's a mammoth screen,
Right.
and the driving locations can be changed,
Oh, that's
but a computer determines by the angle and the speed that the ball hits the screen
Right.
how far the ball goes.
Yeah.
And then the second shot is played the same way into a screen. And then they have located in the area real greens
Oh.
and sand traps, and they place the ball in relation to the pin the way the computer determines that it hit on the last shot. So the ball is either on the green somewhere, or it's off the green or in a trap somewhere,
Or in the water
based
if I was
on
golfing.
based on the computer.
Yeah, golf
And,
simulator.
and the
Yeah.
greens are built on a series of pads that
Oh, they
are
can lift it up?
adjustable.
Oh.
Oh. I
So
didn't
the
know.
greens can be changed for every hole. And so just because you landed 10 feet away from the hole and your ball broke 3 inches to the left on the first hole, if you're in that same position on these greens on the next hole, it may break 6 inches to the right, because they can adjust that so that each green is different, the same as greens are different in a normal 18-hole golf course. And they had a practice game that was on television the other day, and I mean, it was just kind of crazy watching it, because I mean, watching them, you couldn't see the ball very well hit into the screen.
No, I noticed that.
Yeah, you couldn't
could not.
follow it. And then they'd have like a spotlight shining on the green where the ball was, and the guy'd go out and place his ball in the middle of the spotlight and line it up. And I mean, it ended up that somebody won, somebody lost. Whether this is
That's
going to
usually the way it goes.
whether this is going to take off and get a lot of people watching it or not, who knows? It's an experiment. It may develop people from a local area pulling for their team, and develop fans. But on the other hand, it's so different from normal golf protocol, and they also came out with a schedule for all of the tournaments, so that we know the dates for the Masters, the PGA, the British Open, and so forth. So.
All right.
Cool.
Well, that about wraps the show up. We're going to answer our trivia
Oh,
question.
There
yes.
you go.
Anybody have any guesses? The question was, in what year and by what NFL team was Jared Goff drafted?
I think he was drafted probably around, let's see, 24, probably around 18.
Close.
Was it by Seattle?
He was drafted by the Rams
Oh.
Yeah.
in 2016, and then if you remember, he was traded to Detroit for Matt Stafford.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Matt Stafford turned around, won a Super Bowl with the Rams the following year, and we can only hope that
this-
Jared Goff and his name will be chanted in Detroit like it has been all year long. It will be chanted in infamy
There you go.
or in
Hooray.
Did you
perpetuity
see
here in
where
Detroit.
Verlander signed a
Yeah, I forgot to mention
one-year
that really quick.
contract
Verlander, 1-year contract
With San
with the
Francisco?
Giants. So he's not making a homecoming to Detroit yet. Who knows?
Couple of years.
Well,
They
he signed
can
a
afford
1-year
him.
deal. Yeah, when they can afford him. Sign Alex Bregman.
There you go.
Chris Illich, if you're watching, I know you aren't. Sign Alex Bregman. Okay.
How
That'll
about a
wrap.
shout out to Michigan State.
Oh yeah, Michigan State.
1-2 in the Big Ten,
There you go.
respectively.
So
13,
neither of them
14
can play
wins.
good football, but they can play good basketball.
There you go.
And that'll wrap up the show for this week. For Brian Rogers, I'm Christian Gibbons, and we hope to see him back here next week talking about a Lions victory. We'll see you next week.
There we go.
Yep.
Bye-bye
Have a
now.
good
See you
day.
now.
Bye-bye.
All clear.
Good going.